On June 22nd, 1988, a blend of live action and animation hit movie screens called Who Framed Roger Rabbit? And fans, when we tell you how important this movie is, we are not kidding. This coming June will mark the 30-year anniversary of the film that captured our hearts and was made long before CGI and computer animation would make the incredible technological feats seem easy. Directed by Robert Zemeckis and written by Jeffrey Price and Peter S. Seaman, the film depicts a Hollywood where actors live and work right alongside famous cartoon creations. The script was based on the book Who Censored Roger Rabbit by Gary K. Wolfe, which told a similar story using comic strip characters, but the team behind the movie decided to use the animated stars of all your favorite cartoon classics instead, as if they're real, and they live in Hollywood and have to put up with traffic and glorious weather just like the rest of us.
Step out of line and we'll hang you and your laundry out to dry.
They may have been cartoons, but they were not immune to the dark side of a sort of colorful film noir version of Los Angeles in 1947. Produced by Disney with major guidance from executive producer Steven Spielberg, the film tells the story of the latest case for Detective Eddie Valiant. Down on his luck after the death of his brother and partner, Valiant used to work on cases involving the cartoon characters. Everyone just calls them Toons. And that might be like a slur, but it's hard to tell. Valiant has long since stopped taking cases like this because a Toon killed his brother. So Eddie is most recently finding solace at the bottom of a bottle. Enter Roger Rabbit, the wildly successful Toon star who was framed for the murder of Marvin J. Acme and appeals to Valiant to help clear his name. Roger's bombshell wife Jessica Rabbit is involved, as is a frightening man named Judge Doom. He and his gang of weasels will stop at nothing to track down Roger, having finally found a way to kill a Toon. Toons are bouncy, and they can stretch and take an anvil to the face, and are also, theoretical creatures, so they're hard to kill. In investigating Roger's framing, Eddie uncovers Judge Doom's true plot. Use the Toon-killing dip to wipe the Toon haven of Toontown off the map so he can build a freeway. Eddie sobers up, helps Roger find his courage, and eventually faces off with Doom himself, who turns out to be the very same maniacal Toon that killed Eddie's brother. So yes, it's a little nuts, this movie. It combines classic Hollywood noir with subversive animated hijinks, and by all accounts, that should not work. Like, how did this get made at all? And yet, not only does it work, but it remains an achievement of staggering imagination and ingenuity.
Put it there, pal.
The movie spent a long time in development, which included a period where Roger was set to be voiced by Pee Wee Herman. Spielberg eventually brought Zemeckis in to direct the film after Terry Gilliam said no, much to his later regret. Spielberg then went about the process of getting the rights to every cartoon character you can possibly think of. Daffy Duck and Donald Duck perform a dueling piano routine. There's a scene with both Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny. Spielberg had to convince Warner Brothers and several other companies to lend their creations to the film, and thankfully, he succeeded. Even Betty Boop is there.
Betty?
Long time no see.
Charles Fleischer gave voice to Roger, as well as Roger's friend Benny, an animated taxi cab. Though Harrison Ford, Bill Murray, and Eddie Murphy were all considered for the role of Eddie Valiant, it eventually went to Bob Hoskins. Hoskins' portrayal is completely earnest, and never once winks to the camera, even when he's in the midst of utter cartoon insanity. Hoskin, he plays the stakes. The result, we believed everything we saw. We weren't just caught up in the technological wizardry, we were caught up in the story. Without the legendary Bob Hoskins, that might not have been the case. Kathleen Turner voiced Jessica Rabbit, giving a sultry tone to her most famous line,
"I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way."
Though Turner is uncredited for her work in the film, she remains credited and revered by any boy you've known who saw this movie in the 8th grade. Not me, but close. Christopher Lloyd was already a Zemeckis veteran thanks to Back to the Future, so he stopped in to play the unhinged Judge Doom, later comparing the character to the villain he played in Star Trek III, remarking that they were both completely evil and a lot of fun to play.
Merry-go-round broke down. Quite a loony selection for a group of drunken reprobates.
The film would also be one of the last times the great Mel Blanc would give voice to Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and Porky Pig.
Me, what's up, Doc? Jumping without a parachute? Kinda dangerous, ain't it?
Way before the days of CGI and digital wizardry, the film was put together using drawn cells and optical compositing. It was not easy. The film seamlessly blends animation with live action in ways that would not be attempted again for many years down the line. Motion-controlled cameras and a great deal of compositing made this possible, with the live-action actors often playing scenes against nothing but air. Fleischer made a point to dress as Roger and be on set as much as possible so the actors would have something to play off of instead of talking to nobody and waving their hands around. Blue screen work was done by Industrial Light and Magic for a week after the actual shoot. And then there's 14 months of post-production to add cartoons, the effects, and a brilliant score by frequent Zemeckis collaborator Alan Silvestri.
Does this answer your question?
The movie eventually opened to rave reviews, becoming the second highest grossing film of 1988. Roger himself proved popular enough to appear in a few animated shorts, the most popular of which was Tummy Trouble, which played before Honey, I Shrunk the Kids the following year.
Baby Herman, our problems are over.
The film went on to win Academy Awards for film editing, sound effects, editing, and best visual effects. It also received a Special Achievement Award, which feels more than deserved. So, why no sequel? Well, one was originally worked on in 1989 by a very young J.J. Abrams, and then again by Nat Malden. The proposed film became a prequel, which charted Roger's rise to fame in 1941. Roger would go on a search for his mother, meet Jessica, and travel through Nazi-occupied Europe. Roger's father would turn out to be none other than Bugs Bunny himself. Eventually titled Who Discovered Roger Rabbit, Spielberg ended up leaving the film, and a rewrite was commissioned in 1997, which replaced the war story with Broadway shenanigans, but that version was also scrapped. And then, more sequel ideas came and went over the years, almost all of them intending to use CGI animation instead of the hand-drawn work of the original. Zemeckis even talked about a possible sequel as recently as 2016, which would have included a digital Bob Hoskins in ghost form, that being necessary due to the actor's unfortunate passing in 2014. Zemeckis recently conceded that the chances of a sequel are slim, but that's fine, because the original masterpiece is more than enough. In this age of digital CGI wonders, it's easy to take something like Roger Rabbit for granted. It's the kind of film that feels like it's always been there. Accomplished well before computers made anything and everything possible, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a testament to the innovative and exhausting hard work of its cast and crew, and the incredible vision of Spielberg and Zemeckis. If you need us, we're gonna head off to the Ink and Paint Club to catch Donald and Daffy, but in the meantime, shave and a haircut. No tune can resist that one. Are there any tunes in the house? I guess not. Bye.